Yeah, I'm just wondering.
Yeah, what this is a different piece from what I've been doing for the last 6 years.
Hmm.
Uh, when I have interviews, then we would have a conversation after the interview about the business. And then
Okay.
I was like, wait a minute, I think we're on to something here where we can talk about the business a little
Hmm.
for maybe tips, tricks, audience awareness of like kind of what the struggles are to be a modern day musician.
Right.
Yeah, all that within a 30-minute time frame.
Okay.
Now you are you're you're still in the New York area, right? You're in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I'm in
Yeah.
Brooklyn. Yeah.
Okay, so we know you got heavy rent and you got a lot of responsibilities going on over there.
Yeah.
And you're an established musician. You've been, pumping things out for the last 20 years. But
Hmm.
to I get oh God, how do you if you to make it there right now, how is the way a new musician would be able to navigate through um I guess the scene right now? And that's a really open-ended, weird question.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I myself got lucky when I moved here in 2008, because I already knew a lot. I was already playing in some bands here, even though, I moved from California. And also I was living extremely cheaply the couple years before I moved here, and I was on tour constantly, so I was just saving money, you know. And yeah, I know some younger musicians that have moved to town in the last, yeah, like sort of, the last year or so. And they're as far as I know, they're all working day jobs, but and living with roommates and stuff like that. But I mean, I was doing the same thing when I was in my early mid 20s.
Yeah, we were talking about, I think the last time I talked to you, it was during the pandemic, and a lot of people left that area because
Yeah.
they just couldn't afford the rent. And with not knowing what's going to happen, you had no idea what the future was.
Right. Yeah, I remember that clearly. Yeah, people did leave, and some have come back and some have stayed. I have a friend in California, musician, and yeah, that people have gone different places and either moved back or stayed where they were, you know.
And then I'm assuming there's now a younger influx of people who just kind of came in the door. You're saying,
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. This whole crew from like Reno, for instance, and yeah, New York. My wife's always saying people are just coming and going all the time around
uh,
here, and I guess that's true. I don't know if that's more so than other places. I don't really have much to compare it to at this point.
oh, oh, Orlando. No one wants to be friends with anyone because you know that in 2 years are leaving, Florida for good. So, what's the sense of having a relationship with anyone when we know you're going to leave? And they do.
Wow.
Do
Wow.
you have a avant-gardist like vibe? Like that is your niche. Do you ever say, like, God, I got to pay the bills? Mariah Carey, where are you?
Uh, no, I mean, I'm coming at it from a strange place because, when I used to play much more straight ahead jazz in, like in the Bay Area, like all the musicians on that scene. I was also playing in all these like heavy, noisy rock bands, or, some of them, a few of them, some things I founded that I helped write music for and stuff like that. And all these jazz people would be like, "Oh man, so you're making some coin in your rock band, huh?" And I was like, "No, actually kind of the opposite. I'm using these jazz gigs to fun that, because we're like when the rock bands would tour, it was like sleeping on floors and you know getting paid, like the whole band getting paid 150, $200 for each gig, and it's just rough.
Yeah, I mean,
So yeah, it didn't. Yeah, I never thought of, when I moved to LA. Actually, I was in LA a couple years after I was in the Bay Area, and I started getting calls for some pop touring, and I realized I was sort of a little bit dysfunctionally looking for any excuse not to take them. Like I'd have a couple door gigs in New York booked, so I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I can't get out of those." So I think subconsciously I just didn't want to get into that scene, even though you can make money doing that.
well, the beauty too is that you had to bump heads into a lot of people in that niche of music.
Hmm.
You had to create that relationship that you would be called on over and over and over.
Yeah, right.
So do you get, you said you had some of those connections over in California, and you know, you felt like they continued over here, like everyone gravitated to the New York area?
Oh yeah, well they were actually people in New York that were leading bands already, like Mark Rebo and Trevor Dunn in particular. And that so when I'd go out there, or they'd, sometimes they'd bring me out, sometimes I'd just be there, and then, a gig would happen or a recording session. And while I was there, I was, playing with a lot of people, like their friends, basically, and other people. I met Mary Halverson through Trevor Dunn, and we became good friends, and that we were both sort of, she was working a day job at the time, actually, and we were both kind of exploring at the same time, really, you know.
So I mean, there has to be a time that you're sleeping on floors, you're doing traveling gigs, you're trying to make money, you're working during the daytime. There has to be a
Mm-hmm.
time where you're in your mind, you're like, look, I gotta I gotta have like a comfortable room, I gotta have a comfortable bed, I gotta have, you know, some kind of semblance of normalcy. When was that, and or has that taken not taken
That was
place?
a little more of my wife's urging, believe it or not. I kind of, I'm the kind of person that can just, I'm kind of cool anywhere. I mean, now I try to, I mean, I definitely stay in hotels now, but really, if I feel like up till we moved in together, I was sort of like just a plain light bulb in a room, maybe somewhere to sleep and some books, like that kind of vibe. Like I just never have noticed my surroundings too much, I guess. So yeah, I just started when money started coming in, I just treated that like the normal amount that I should make, or I guess ask for. If people, sometimes people ask like, what's your rate? And then I'll have something to tell them, but I'm, usually flexible if I want to do the music. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, I wasn't ever driven. I mean, once my wife and I had a kid, yeah, that was definitely something. It got more serious, like as far as needing money to come in, for sure.
The sleeping on the floor is that whole romanticism. It's very, you know, Dharma bum kind of,
Yeah,
like that Kerouacian lifestyle. That
right.
it's kind of romantic, the Burroughs thing,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
art
but
for art.
I don't think those people were doing that more, well, past their 30s
They
at,
all
at
died
most.
before then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So they got out of it.
they didn't have to pay the high premium insurance.
Right, right. And New York didn't blow up like it did.
What the one thing that's coming up a lot, and I'm jumping around, is the what is the audience responsibility to keep jazz alive? I'm getting a lot of,
Mm.
yeah. How about that for a segue? I'm getting through these conversations. It's coming up where some people are suggesting that uh, the behaviors in clubs are, you almost have to retrain people. They've been out of commission in the last 2 years, and the behaviors in clubs need to improve, and the fact that they need to show up.
Oh,
Empty rooms are poison, and that maybe this
yeah.
online streaming that was going on has made people a little more lazy and not want to go out and participate. um,
Okay.
but then when they're
Oh,
out, they're on their cell phone, they're talking, they're not really engaged and giving the music an opportunity.
oh wow. Yeah,
But
I'm not saying I disagree, but I haven't really seen that post, when once we all started playing again. I've been seeing pretty enthusiastic audiences, and I guess it's just, not almost like the rooms aren't as empty as they used to be either. Or I've been lucky to play for some good crowds since then, I feel like. But it just, depends on the group and all that, of course.
you're an independent artist, so there are things that you need people to attend, to buy your merchandise, to churn it. I know that your website, there was one part of your website I looked at before. Maybe it just
Hmm.
had all your albums that you performed on. It wasn't on there now, but it was really, really cool.
Oh yeah, I think it's still there, I hope, unless
I
unless
didn't I
something
didn't
happened. Yeah.
I didn't see it where I was like, wow, this is like kind of like a hit your face of like a historical reference point of all the cool albums that you were on. And I was like, wow, like there's a lot of material here, and some of it I've listened to, and some of it I need to.
Hmm.
But that part of the, you know, I don't know, are you doing a lot of like uh, I guess social media? Is that your responsibility? Are you feeling that you need to, or and how aggressive are you like on the Twitter scene or?
Oh man, I'm really not aggressive at all, I would say. It's like all I'm sure a lot of people would agree. I mean, for themselves, but it's hard to promote yourself. And actually that's kind of the only reason I'm on there, is just to like, hey, I have a show coming up, or this record came out, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not that aggressive. And a lot of people really used to communicate with actual people they know. I've noticed that. And that's cool. But I get just personally, I'd rather call someone or text them, like use it for real. Like, even though that, text is, you could argue that's as weird as a message on, but I mean, I guess I don't really do things in public like that so much, like have a debate in public, or unless we
So,
need to.
oh yeah, I gave up that long, like the whole Trump administration at the beginning.
Oh
That's where I was
yeah,
like,
that was
that's what
intense.
that was like. Wait a minute, I got to scale down like my anger and direct it somewhere
Right.
else.
All right. I see.
No,
Yeah.
then there was no, I've never comment on anything ever, but I there was a
Mm.
time, I was hopping on there feeling I could change people's minds or opinions.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not really using that to like Jared Albright. I swear he may post, or his people may post, twice a day.
Uh-huh.
So while I'm not really hot on Gerald Albright's material, I definitely get that tweet. I know something's going on that I'm passing past. Like his name pops up. So
Right.
that's a name recognition piece that he is aggressive for him.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. That's, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm sort of out of the loop anyway. I find things by chance to listen to, and I tend to stick with one record a lot versus just glancing over a ton of things. I tend to
uh,
do that.
huh.
Like if something strikes me, I'll keep checking it out. So I don't really need that influx of information. Yeah, also I think that's my bandwidth personally. I can't really deal with that much information, honestly.
That's cool. I totally get where you're getting at. The other part is that a lot of these independent musicians are veering off into other products. I have people who are musicians that are getting into like wine, fine art. They have their own clothing line.
Really?
Yeah.
Like in like indie musicians.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Marcus Johnson down in DC, which I haven't
Hmm.
interviewed yet, he writes his own books, and they get out there. He has a clothing line, he has a
Okay.
wine line.
Uh-huh.
He has festivals that he creates himself.
Yeah. So
So I mean,
he likes doing that, doing
he's
stuff.
he
Yeah.
the show's called Do the Hustle. He is doing the
Hmm.
hustle 24/7.
Hmm.
But is there any kind of like veering off of your direction that you're like, wait a minute, maybe I need to diversify or go in a different direction?
No, I don't think so for me. Yeah, I like what I'm trying to do in music is already I'm way too in the deep end, like it's way over my head.
The Haitian voodoo
Yeah, that,
drum.
that stuff. I have to, at this point, I could be playing any drum from lead to the four drum boss thing at a ceremony. So I just have to be in shape on all that all the time, which is, you know, and that's like a whole lifetime of work easily. And then, there's also the vibraphone and writing my own music, and then booking stuff, like, which there's not much to it when I'm a side musician and or in a band I've been in for a long time, because that you just kind of say yes or no, you just look at your calendar. But to go out and look for gigs for your own projects is time consuming. So
And
that, just one example. That's like all this stuff. It's plus my family. It's like there's definitely not enough hours in the day.
now, is your wife involved in any of your booking and any of that kind of stuff? No.
No, no, yeah, she's a designer. She has her own career, thank God. and and
Does she have the health care on her side, or?
yeah, she does. Although when the first couple of years of Obamacare, I was doing that, but then she got a different job, and now she's also a chair of a department at SVA, School of Visual Art in Manhattan. So that has really good healthcare. Like
Oh, good.
the
Yeah,
university system tends to.
we call
Yeah,
that the Quan. There are a lot of the independent musicians, if they get into the music department,
yeah,
it's like they made it.
right,
Because
right.
it's kind of like being in the government. You guys some money coming in. It's a
Yeah,
stable.
yeah. Or these things are covered, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I
yeah, yeah, that's true. Although it's a little bit misleading that suddenly it just all comes for free, because it definitely comes out of your paycheck still, or the benefits.
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Nothing's cheap.
yeah, nothing's cheap, but
We
it's
we
better. It's just better. It's better than doing it on your own.
we
Yeah.
started basically like there's a blueprint to this where I always asked about your school and did you ever get the training to learn how to be independent through school? Did they ever pull you aside and say, hey, you got to learn how to book your gigs, you got to do this? And if
No, no, but I think that is more common now. Is that what you've been hearing, or do you know
uh
that?
it's improving, not it's
Improving.
not
Okay.
common, but you're going for a 4 year schooling, and you're really excelling in your craft. And oh, by the way, I have no idea how to make it on my own.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
school can be expensive too.
Yeah.
I've had, it was like not till I don't know when I started hearing this, that like say we do a master class at a school, a lot of the questions it was like changed suddenly to how do you make a living at this? Like we didn't used to hear that so much, and then it was for me maybe 2012 onward, everyone was asking that. And it's a good question, because if they're getting into debt at school, it's like, that's serious. That's like an inherent problem with, music school. It's like it's great and it's fun. Actually, I didn't really. My undergrad was in philosophy, but my grad school was in music, and a lot of that was covered with scholarships. But but people, like, someone was going to go to the same grad school, and they were asking me, like, should I even do this? Like, they got in, and then they're like, I don't know if I could, because the school had gotten way more expensive since I was there.
Hmm.
And and I was like, man, I didn't really know what to tell them.
Well, that's a question that we got. That's how we started. I
uh
moved you around in the questions because
right.
a lot of people are saying, well, look, it's better to be out in the field. It's better to make the connections. It's better to gig as much as you can. It's better
Mm-hmm.
to sleep on those floors and realize that you can still pay your bills.
Mm-hmm.
If you are walking around with all that debt, you're not really having the experience of life experience.
Uh-huh.
And also like search for your mentors and see if you can learn the business off of mentors. And did you
Yeah.
had your mentors more in Sacramento, or it was more of a hard knock kind of life thing where you just gravitated over here? I can't decide.
Yeah, definitely not Sacramento, because I wasn't really playing too much when I lived there as a kid, but or playing gigs. But yeah, I'd say this guy named Willie Wynant out in the Bay Area. And on a different level, Robert Porter, this trumpet player out in there and from Oakland. And then yeah, yeah, I guess it was always about the music, though. There wasn't too much biz stuff. Although one time I got called for, it was a percussion gig, which is definitely my second, like, it's marimba or something, which is like, you know not my first instrument. And I the guy gave me the music. I looked at it and I was like, man, I don't have time to learn this. I told him that. And then I told Willie Wynant what happened about, with that. He was my teacher at the time, and he was like, no, you gotta tell him you'll look at the music before you take the gig, if you're worried about the music, and then, so you're not saying yes and then no. That was like the one kind of professional advice he gave me. I remember that.
No, is it no at the last minute that you were saying it? Now he screwed you out
No,
of 5 minutes, or
yeah, I know I didn't screw him over, but Yeah, it took me a day to get back to him. I was looking at, I just started practicing the music and I was like, this is not, I'm not going to have this ready by the recording, like that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And then, I told him he did get someone else that it all turned out fine. But, Willie was just like, don't commit to anything unless you're sure you're going to do it. And I knew that already. It's not like that was a shock to hear that.
So with contracts and with gigging and
Hmm.
right now you're in Brooklyn, so I'd say when you do you book out, you have the venues that you've already performed at before and probably
Yeah.
contacts through those venues. So it's not like knocking on doors, and you're a well-known person. People know who you are. Uh,
Mm.
so
Yeah.
they do.
Okay.
so I mean it's like, oh cool, like we can guarantee that the seats are going to be filled.
Mm.
Where is that kind of anxiety, and would you say I just sweep through the East Coast quickly, and or do you like crisscross country and try to make that happen, like?
Oh, when I book things, you mean?
Yeah, for your like
Yeah.
your,
Yeah, I mean, of course I tend to try things that I know, but you sort of know what budgets places have, so it depends on the size of the group and stuff like that. Like currently I'm trying to booking a tour next year for We All Break, this band I have. There's 10 people in that band.
yes.
So I have a friend helping me book it, but she's like, yeah, we need to know someone at each place, or it's probably not going to happen. And it's sort of an unusual project for the scene, I guess. So in that way, it's sort of, in another way, it gets a lot of great reception too. So it's like exciting but unusual, and people don't associate me with that music so
Yeah.
much yet. And yeah, I guess that's it. It's really hard to, like you said, knock on doors, cold call people and tell them who you are, and then get them interested in booking your music, your band.
So that I love that album, and I'm excited that there's going to be this is your future. You're always going to hopefully dig into it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
and I saw the live stuff on YouTube, but would this is hip enough that it could be like a city winery kind of thing where you could book into every city winery, or this is like the arts and culture where there's
Hmm.
grants involved, and
Yeah,
then you could be at those locations. It looks
right.
like you could be at either or, and I don't know if you would ever consider that a city winery type of.
Yeah,
I
is
like
is
this.
is City Winery like a chain now, or is
It
it?
is. It's
Wow.
everywhere.
Okay, I didn't know that. Different cities.
Yeah, they're all over the
Okay.
place. So
Okay.
when you book in one, you're basically booking in all of them,
Wow.
and the rooms are nice and
Hmm.
diverse in what they have in there.
Is there one near you?
There's one in Philly. There's not one
Okay.
in Baltimore, but there's one in DC.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know about that, honestly. But yeah, I think I am going for the grants avenue. I'm at least trying for that, but it's dicey. If you have a tour coming up, there's a deadline for the grant, then that's no problem to get. Well, it can be a problem to get that done because you don't have all the information of your tour yet, or gigs are not confirmed yet, for
Mhm.
instance. And then you might wait for the next grant cycle, and then it comes in like 3 months before your tour starts, so you don't even know if that money will be there yet. So it's
That's rough.
it's like kind of having, waking up in the middle of the night about that a little bit, honestly. Just try how to figure all that out.
Is that like it's not a national? It's multiple grants. That's not just one. Like right, that would be like maybe New York. There would be a federal one, or it.
Yeah, there's some organizations that support tours around the country, actually.
Uh,
Or you could there's something I'm trying to find out about, that consortium thing where it's the venue helps you get the grant, or you get the grant for the venue plus one other venue, and then it's in between, the money goes to those to your shows at those locations.
okay.
So yeah,
Well,
I'm looking into all this stuff right now, actually.
and then you probably do a master class for like a local music like the Peabody or something.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Or if if some of these grants, you might just do a workshop to open to the public anywhere, even at the venue or somewhere like that,
huh.
which
I
We All Break is good for that because there are some great teachers in that band. Daniel Breville and Fanfan Jean-Guy, they're just master drummers and they know how to convey that to, give something to anyone at any level, really.
Yeah, well, it's also it's a learning experience, a historical learning experience, along with a musical adventure.
For
So
sure. Yeah.
yeah, you can build it that way.
Hmm.
That to me, whatever you're doing makes me nervous. It sounds very nerve wracking,
Oh,
and I know that a
yeah.
lot of artists right now, like everyone came out, and now that there's less venues,
Uh-huh.
and now they're all trying to book their shows, and everything's more expensive. It's just everything got expensive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Everything got really expensive. That's a reality right now.
And some people just said, I can't do it. I
Hmm.
just can't go in that direction and just
Yeah.
wait until
Y-
maybe something will change.
Yeah, I can understand that. It could work out fine. I could end up in a bunch of debt after this, but I'm charging ahead. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're almost down to the wire. I knocked you out for 30 minutes, so it was easy.
Wow.
I yeah, you should really like. I think you have the ability to be like a podcaster of some sort. Like I find you very entertaining. I
Thanks.
just I you don't have to give your opinions, but it'd be fun to like maybe review an album or I don't know something
Sure.
that or just like be on a panel where people are asking like you can chime in with your thoughts. I I think
I appreciate that.
yeah, I'm side hustling you into another venue that you don't haven't even
Right.
considered yet.
Right. Yeah, podcast.
Well, I mean,
We'll see.
it's a good way to get out there visually, and
Uh,
it's relatively cheap. Look, we're doing it for pennies.
right, right.
All right. One last thing that you would have for maybe a new musician,
Hmm.
like we kind of went as to what would be a suggestion or them for them how to handle the business.
Do you mean trying to become an established side musician or lead their own bands or both?
It's this open air. Like, what would
Yeah,
you
open.
recommend them do? Like, it's called do the hustle. So, you know, what is the thing that they need to do to survive?
Well, I know this doesn't sound too helpful, but really, really focusing on the music, like if you're hired to play in someone's band, really learn their music well, and try to find out what they're after. That's what I've always done. I mean, I sort of do it naturally, even when I wasn't making money at stuff. I was always trying to fit into other people's things. That's just sort of my personality, I guess. Or if they're leading, just keep honing what you're writing and your own sound and all that stuff. Just because that, I mean, I don't think I'm an idiot about the business, but really I've focused on the music part almost to a fault, I would say.
Uh,
Um, and it's worked out in just being able to work, but I do still do a ton of side musician work, which I almost don't even think of it like that. Like I'm sort of like a band member of a lot of bands, but I sort of wish um I don't think I don't I definitely I put out enough records, but I doing more leader work is still a goal of mine, just because I like to write music and have us play it, live at gigs. So I guess I don't have a lot to say about how to get that going. I feel like all that has just sort of happened to me, other than I really work on composing.
you're just saying, be passionate about the work that you were given, and
Yeah, and
and
and and also, yeah, I heard Jim Keltner say, well, he's like if you really love music and you don't quit, it's gonna work out. And then, you could say, of course, that's easy for him to say, but
he's Jim
it,
Keltner.
yeah, he's fucking Jim Keltner. But
How many
yeah,
lines of coke did he do with all those like famous people? Yeah,
yeah, no
not
idea.
that he did it. I'm just saying that hypothetically.
Right. Yeah, but that I took that to heart. I read that when I was really young, and then other people said that too. Elvin said something like that, Max Roach. And yeah, just and even Bill Evans, he was like, I just thought if I worked on the music part, everything would work out, and it's, you could say that's really naive and, not realistic, because there is a hustle, but you just sort of try to be in the right place at the right time, and then of course be ready for it. That's, I guess, part of what I'm getting at.
What it's a weird thing because you're considered like an avant-gardist. So
Mhm.
instead of people giving you music ahead of time, are people booking you and you go there and they're like, just do you? Like, are they just saying be like just be expressive? I'm thinking of this color blue and I'm doing this, and we're
Yeah.
we're trying to get to this point where his part, your part, and then
Mhm.
it's like you're on your own kind of thing.
Yeah, there is that, but I just like, if there's written music, I want to know whoever is playing the composed part. I want to know that music,
Okay.
to know where I am. And usually I do need to know. Usually there's somewhere in there I have to hit something with somebody, and but yeah, I'm people do, then there's of course just gigs where we show up and play free, there's
Oh,
that
that's
too.
cool.
But that's like that's a challenge as well. That's something I've worked on for forever, really.
Mhm. You're at that point. I got the flash for Zoom that I got
Okay.
7 minutes left.
Okay.
So yeah, I found that I always like are interviewing people about their newest release, and then we have this separate you know uh, thought process. Some people are struggling, and some people really got the groove on. I thought let's
Hmm.
give it a shot. Let's see how musicians are dealing with that other piece.
Yeah, it's good to talk about it. It's good to hear about. I should check out the other ones you've done.
Yeah, they're different challenges, I think, for different people in different locations,
Hmm.
and it's also the fact that it doesn't stop. Like
Yeah.
like when you hang up with me, you're not done for the day. You got more work to do.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have a ton of music to learn, actually. I'm making like 4 or 5 records this month.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's a lot. All right, so thank you very much for joining me today on the Something Came from Baltimore Do the Hustle edition. We are going to post this today or maybe tomorrow morning, so
Okay.
it'll be available on Zoom and then it will go on air as a unit. Okay.
Okay. Right on.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining me for this project. I appreciate it.
Okay. Take it
All right.
easy.
Have a good one.
All right.